right, so this is Algebra 2. Our topic today is 2-3 linear functions and slope-intercept form. This is Algebra 2. I'm Leah Applegarth, and our learning objective is to graph linear equations. So essentially today, we are going to consider a non-vertical line in the coordinate plane. If you move from any point on that line to any other point on that line, the ratio of the vertical change to the horizontal change is constant. That constant ratio is the slope of the line, which brings us to our vocabulary word, slope. Slope is the ratio of the vertical change to the horizontal change between 2 points. Make sure you guys write the definition down. And just for fun, you can either put 2 stars or a flower next to the word slope. I'll let you decide. A flower or 2 stars next to slope. I'm just talking. The picture of slope looks like you have a non-vertical line. You have the vertical change. It's how from point to point, how far up or down you go. And you have the horizontal change, which from point to point is how much horizontally or to the left or right you go. So if you're going to write slope as its ratio, so this is the word version of it, the ratio of the vertical change over the horizontal change between 2 points. So if we label those 2 points, x1, y1, and x2 and y2, it kind of looks like this. Vertical change, or rise, over horizontal change, or run, which also could be written as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you get slope in word form for my English admirers. You get slope in picture form for my visual learners, and then you get it in ratio form for my really mathy people. Okay, so we are going to apply this concept to these 3 problems. So you don't have to write the instructions. We're finding the slope. That's the topic of this whole section. So go ahead and just write the coordinates down, and we're going to find the slope between these points. So just to remind you, y's go on top, x's go on the bottom. Now I don't want to judge, but there are some people who don't remember that the first coordinate is the x-coordinate, so I'm going to label. The first one is x1, y1, and the second one is x2, y2. So when I'm putting together my slope formula, I'm going to go 1 minus 4 divided by 8 minus 5. Make sure you can add and subtract integer values, because 1 minus 4 is -3, and 8 minus 5 is 3. And then make sure you can simplify fractions, because on a quiz, if you put -3 over 3, it'll automatically mark it wrong, even though that is technically the right answer, because you got to simplify down your slope. And it's equal to -1.
And what's -7 over 0?
It's undefined.
What do you write it as?
The slope is technically a -7 over 0 for slope is technically an undefined slope. So if they're asking for slope, you would write undefined. If they're asking for the equation of the line, you'd write x equals -7.
So we're going to our
All right.
Her regular second law, right?
Here we go. All right, so these 2 points, 2, 2, and -2, -2. This is x1, y1, and x2, y2. So we go -2 minus 2, and -2 minus 2. -2 minus 2 is -4, so this is -4 over -4, which simplifies down to 1. All right, last but not least, this is -4 minus 3 over 9 minus 9. So this is -7 divided by 0. You are not allowed in the math world to divide by 0, so my slope is undefined.
That's so God, oh, that's so hot.
All right, so we are going to look at the slope of a line, and we're going to look at 4 different types of slope. As we look at each type of slope, so right now I want you to draw the circle head for Mr. Slope Guy, and that's the only thing I want you to draw for him. So go ahead and draw just a circle for Mr. Slope Guy. And then we are going to put a little plus sign for his eyeball because a positive slope goes up. It rises from left to right. So if you have this part, a line that looks like Mr. Slope Guy's left eyebrow, we know that it's going to be a positive slope. All right, the next type of slope is a negative slope. So we're going to add in Mr. Slope Guy's right eye is a minus sign, and his right eyebrow falls from left to right. So a line that goes down from left to right is a negative slope. So right now you have a circle, and you have the plus sign and a positive slope line, and a minus sign and a negative slope line. All right, the next slope we want to look at is a horizontal line. This is when our slope is equal to 0. So what you're going to do is you're going to put in, because our Mr. Slope Guy is more of a meh personality, you're going to give him a meh mouth and a circle for his dimples. So this means when your slope is 0, your line is horizontal. And then undefined slope, so that's where his nose comes in. So he's got a U for the bottom of his nose for undefined, and then a straight line that comes down from his eyes to that U. And that represents when you have an undefined slope, it's a vertical line. What students oftentimes get confused are these two. They say, oh, we have no slope. And if you look, nowhere here does it say no slope. So a line can never have no slope. It's either undefined or 0. And in that case, a 0 slope is definitely different than an undefined slope. So it's important that you guys know the distinction. Okay, so we got some vocab words coming down the pipe for us. The first one is linear function. And that is a function whose graph is a line. Linear function. Function whose graph is a line. Okay, we can remember that. And a linear equation in 2 variables is an equation that can be written in the form ax plus by equals c. So it's got an x value, a y value, and a constant value. And the x has a coefficient and the y has a coefficient. All right, so I added this picture in here because I find that I am more of a visual learner, and if I can see it, I remember it better. So go ahead and draw this picture here. The x-intercept is the point at which the line crosses the x-axis. And the y-intercept is the point at which the line crosses the y-axis. And including the picture, hopefully that will help us remember. All right, so slope-intercept form. What I want you guys to write down in your notes, I don't want you to write all of it, so go ahead and write slope-intercept form. And write y equals mx plus b. Right. M is the slope. 0, comma b is the y-intercept. So when you have m equals 6 and the y-intercept is 0, 5, if I am putting together my equation, I write y equals 6x plus 5. That's for A. In B, I'm looking at, they give me these 2 points on the line. This point here and this point here. And from those 2 points, I can tell that my rise is actually -1, and my run is 2. So for this line here, for B, this was A. For B, my slope is rise over run, which is -1 over 2. And then in the equation, I have the x after the slope. And then my y-intercept is here at -3. Is there a difference between plus -3 and just writing -3? No, they're the same value. Plus a negative number is the same as minus. So when you're asked to write the equation, you're going to be expected to simplify that down, simplify a plus a negative number into just a minus. Simplified terms. All right, so now we have to look at the scenario when our equation is not in slope-intercept form, and I personally prefer all my linear equations to be in slope-intercept form. I like working with that format way better than the other 2 forms. So when I tackle a linear problem, I always put it in slope-intercept form, and if it's gotten me this far, I trust it, but I can recommend it for you guys. So if I have, so go ahead and write this linear equation, 3x plus 2y equals 18. We are going to put it in slope-intercept form, and then from that form, we're going to determine what the slope and the y-intercept are. So the first thing, if I'm trying to get a y equals mx plus b, the first thing I'm going to do is solve for y. The second thing I'm going to do is identify m and b. So to solve for y here, I have to minus the 3x from both sides. 18 and 3x are not like terms. I cannot combine them together, so I just rewrite them. I'm going to put the -3 in the front because look where my x values go here in my slope-intercept form. And then I'm going to put the 18 second. All right, then the last thing we do is divide by 2. Everything gets divided by 2. So y equals negative 3 halves x plus 9. When you do adding or subtracting, you do that to like terms. When you do dividing or multiplying, you do that to everything. Hopefully everybody sees the difference here. So that was step 1. We did that check. Step 2 is identify m and b. So we look here, the value in front of my x, or that's the coefficient of x, is m. So we know m is equal to negative 3 halves. And then the other guy that's all by himself, he is our y-intercept, and he is 9. Now be careful, read, usually, especially on a quiz, if they ask you to write the y-intercept as a coordinate, which is very possible, you would want to write it as 0, 9. So if they have you write the y-intercept as a coordinate, the y value is 9 and the x value is 0, because that's where it intersects the y-axis. All right, let's do this one more time just to make sure we got it. So we take our equation in B, negative 7x minus 5y equals 35. We are going to add 7x to both sides. We get negative 5y equals, I'm going to put the 7x in the front, he is positive, and I'm going to put 35 second. Then I'm going to divide by negative 5. Everything gets divided by negative 5. This gives me negative 7/5 x minus 7. 35 divided by negative 5 is negative 7. And remember, plus a negative number is the same as minus. So then we identify that my m value is negative 7/5 and my b value is negative 7, or we write that as 0, negative 7. All right, so now we're going to take this to the next level. We are going to do these 2 steps, solve for y, identify the slope and the intercept, then we're going to plot the y-intercept, use the slope to find the second point, and then draw a line through the 2 points. All right, so 4x minus 7y equals 14. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. I'm going to get negative 7y. So please note, this is a minus 7y. That minus doesn't disappear because I've subtracted 4x from both sides. If it's in front of the value, it stays with the value. Because my formula has the x values first, I'm going to put minus 4x plus 14, because I cannot combine 4x and 14 since they are not like terms. Aren't you glad we spent that time going over like terms? This is 1. Then I'm going to divide everything by negative 7. And I get y equals 4/7 x minus 2. Where did my negatives go on the negative 4 and the negative 7? 2 negatives make a positive. So if I have 2 negatives, one for my change in vertical and one for my change in horizontal, they combine together to make a positive. And then why is this minus 2?
You divided
Yeah. When you divide positive 14 by negative 7, you get negative 2, and instead of writing plus negative 2, I just wrote minus 2. All right, so we are going to identify M and B. So M is this value here, it is 4/7, and B is negative 2. So I'm going to take my negative 2 and go over to my graph. And at x equals 0, y equals negative 2, I'm going to plot that point. Then I'm going to use the slope up 4 and over 7 to find the second point. So from here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. So here's my second point. I'm just using those little dots to count my grid. And then you guys are going to get out your straight edge, because if we're drawing a straight line, we're doggone it, we're going to draw that straight line. Because we can. All right, so make sure your line is straight and it goes through those 2 points, and check we have graphed this equation. We did. Up 4. So we start at the y-intercept. Up 4 over 7. That's it. And that's it for 2-.